The bunker sealed with a metallic slam, dust falling from the ceiling as emergency lights flickered. Jack coughed through the stale air, trying to gather his bearings, already running calculations in his head about oxygen supply, food stores, water reserves. His checklist stopped short when he noticed her, tall, alien, eyes glowing faintly blue in the dim red lighting. Zyra. A warrior by her bearing, but right now just another survivor trapped in a steel coffin with him. Her tone was calm, too calm, as she declared with absolute seriousness. "You will survive on my milk." Jack blinked, sure he misheard. "I'm sorry, you're what now?" His human brain jumped to every awkward conclusion possible, none of them helpful in a survival situation. Zyra simply repeated it, matter of fact, as if discussing air filters. "My milk sustains life. It will sustain you." He opened his mouth, closed it, then muttered, "You've got to be kidding me. We're locked in here and that's your plan?" She wasn't joking. Not even a twitch of humor on her alien features. That only made it worse. His stomach, however, had no shame. It growled loud enough to echo. He tried bargaining with reason, asking about rations, nutrient packs, anything normal. Zyra tilted her head, misunderstanding. "Your bars? Mating rituals, yes?" He froze. "No. Food bars, energy bars." Zyra frowned. "Strange name for mating." She was dead serious, leaving Jack to rub his face and mutter about cosmic irony. Eventually his hunger beat his pride. He told himself it was just survival, nothing more, nothing less. Yet his brain supplied sarcastic commentary at every step. He thought of documentaries where explorers drink from cactus roots or chew on bark. He never thought his own documentary would require him to say, "This is fine, this is totally fine, I'm just staying alive." Zyra, oblivious to his inner meltdown, watched closely, giving instructions like a nurse, every word unintentionally suggestive. "Take it warm. Daily. Do not hesitate. I have plenty." Jack wanted to crawl into the air vent and never come out. The first taste was strange, slightly sweet, metallic undertones. He braced for nausea, but instead felt his body warming, strength returning, like he'd swallowed a battery. Then, without warning, the bunker lights flared bright. Systems hummed. He coughed in shock. Zyra merely nodded, as if this proved her point. "Yes. My milk also powers certain electronics." Jack nearly choked. "Wait, you're telling me we've got alien Gatorade/battery fluid here? That would have been a nice footnote earlier." Sarcasm didn't land. Zyra just stared at him, patient as stone. He sighed, half laughing at the absurdity. "Of all the ways I thought I'd survive the apocalypse, this was not on the list." He leaned back against the cold wall, hands over his face, while Zyra simply said, "You are alive. That is enough." But Jack knew this was only the beginning. By the second day, Jack had accepted that this was his life now. Wake up to Zyra looming over him like a nutrition-obsessed drill sergeant, hear the same line. "Time for your warm morning dose." And fight the part of his brain that insisted on finding it funny. He tried not to keep track, but each feeding was impossible to ignore. Zyra delivered the nutrient with clinical precision, and yet somehow every phrase that came out of her mouth sounded like it belonged in the worst kind of romantic holodrama. "You're getting better at this," she said one morning, smiling faintly. Jack nearly sprayed the wall. They fell into a rhythm that would have been comical if it weren't so necessary. Jack tinkered with broken panels, tightened bolts, and patched leaks while Zyra monitored life support and kept her supply ready. The first time he fixed the ventilation grate without swearing, she called his hands skilled and dexterous. He almost dropped the screwdriver. Apparently, in her culture, manual skill ranked just below courage in attracting a mate. Now every time she complimented his grip or stamina, he wasn't sure if she was talking about repairs or not repairs. He kept brushing his teeth, a small act of human dignity. Zyra washed once and asked, "You scrub your mouth before feeding? Is this ritual?" Jack, mid-brush, couldn't explain without making it worse, so he just shrugged. The water filter broke on day 3, forcing Jack to improvise. Zyra offered an alien solution: add her milk to neutralize impurities. He gave her a look that screamed, "Are you serious?" but tried it anyway. It worked perfectly. Now the water tasted faintly like her nutrient supply, which was both unsettling and annoyingly refreshing. The double entendres escalated without either of them trying. "I'll keep you full," Zyra promised. "You won't go wanting." Jack nearly bit his tongue every time she said, "Tell me when you need more." He stopped answering with words, just nodded like a man avoiding a trap. Yet somewhere in the haze of awkwardness, he started noticing she was watching him differently, not with predatory intent, but curiosity, as if he were some odd little animal figuring out how to live in her world. On the 5th day, she asked a question that made him freeze mid-bite of a ration bar he'd found in a locker. "Human reproduction. How does it work?" Jack stared at her, ration halfway to his mouth, brain flashing every possible reason she might want to know. His voice cracked when he said, "Why?" Zyra tilted her head. "If your milk cannot sustain others, you must have alternative methods for survival of species. I wish to compare." He laughed nervously, muttering, "That's a conversation for when I've had more coffee." But there was no coffee here, only more milk. By the 6th day, Jack was convinced Zyra was flirting. She didn't lean closer or bat her eyes. No, she was too straightforward for that. But her questions had shifted from, "Are you warm enough?" to, "How much can you take in one sitting?" and, "Do humans prefer slow or fast?" Every time she said it, he had to remind himself she was talking about nutrient intake, not whatever his very human brain wanted to imagine. It turned out she wasn't coming on to him at all. She was studying him like a lab project, trying to work out if human milk could ever be traded for hers. Apparently, in her home markets, milk was more than food, it was currency. She'd assumed humans produced it constantly, like her kind. When Jack explained they didn't, she gave him a pitying shake of the head. So fragile, so inefficient. The way she said it made him feel like an outdated appliance. They started trading. Survival tips. Hers were elaborate: breathing drills for combat, muscle tension exercises to withstand cold. His involved duct tape, swearing, and occasionally using one broken thing to fix another broken thing. She couldn't believe he repaired the air pump with an old boot's sole and a bent belt buckle. "This is primitive genius," she said, staring at it like it was art. Then the temperature dropped hard. The bunker's heater died with a pathetic wheeze. Jack layered every piece of clothing he had, but Zyra shook her head. "The fastest way to keep warm is shared body heat." He hesitated. She followed it up with, "Do not worry, I will continue to feed you, warmth and fullness go together." He groaned, already imagining the rumors if anyone ever found out. Still, her advice worked. Her body ran hotter than his, and the combination of warmth and calories kept him steady. Between feedings, he kept tinkering. He jerry-rigged the lights to run off the bunker's failing comm system, then patched an oxygen leak with what was left of his shirt sleeve. Zyra started watching him with something close to respect. "You adapt," she said once, almost to herself. "Most species simply endure." Late on the 9th day, a weak rescue signal came through, distorted but clear enough to make them both freeze. Someone was coming, but not for another week. Zyra leaned back against the wall, calm as ever. "Plenty of time," she said with a faint smile. "For more sustenance." Jack rolled his eyes, muttered something about cosmic comedians, but deep down, he knew she wasn't wrong. By the 12th day, the routine was so natural Jack stopped flinching every time Zyra announced it was time. He still groaned at the phrasing, but the edge of embarrassment had dulled. She'd even started teaching him her language, sprinkling alien words into conversation. Half of them, she claimed, had no direct human translation. The other half sounded like they'd get him arrested if he said them on Earth. He wasn't sure if she was pranking him or genuinely trying to educate him. They'd developed a strange rapport, her calm, literal nature paired with his constant sarcasm. She'd ask, "Do humans always talk while feeding?" And he'd shoot back, "Only the classy ones." She seemed to enjoy these exchanges, though he doubted she fully understood why. Sometimes she'd tilt her head, repeat his joke to herself, then make a note in her datapad as if cataloging a rare animal behavior. When the rescue finally arrived, the first thing the soldiers heard upon opening the hatch was Zyra saying, "He's been drinking from me every day, and look how strong he's gotten." Jack nearly fell over trying to interrupt, words tumbling out in panicked fragments. It's not what it sounds." He only made it worse. The team exchanged looks ranging from confusion to poorly hidden smirks. News traveled fast. By the time they reached the main base, Zyra's people were already calling Jack an honored feeder mate. To them, it was a noble title. To humans, it sounded like something you'd see in a bad hollow romance. Jack spent most of the debrief trying to convince people that it was survival necessity, not some bizarre interspecies dating ritual. Zyra didn't help. She told anyone who asked that he had excellent endurance and improved with each session. The human engineers who came to inspect the bunker repairs treated him like some kind of legend. Not for his quick thinking with the oxygen leak or the boot sole air pump, but for managing whatever they thought happened down there. A few even asked for tips. Jack wanted to crawl under the nearest console and disappear. Later, as they prepared to part ways, Zyra admitted she'd exaggerated a little to boost his standing in her clan. "They will respect you now," she said simply. "And they will not challenge you." Jack muttered, "Yeah, they'll just whisper and laugh instead." She tilted her head in that serene way of hers. "Whispers fade. Honor remains." As the shuttle doors closed, Jack thought about the absurdity of it all. He'd survived bombardment, freezing temperatures, and near starvation. He'd repaired half a bunker with garbage. And yet, the one thing everyone would remember was the milk. Zyra gave him a parting smile, the kind that was both innocent and knowingly teasing. "Do not worry, human. Should you ever need it again, I will keep you topped up." Jack dropped his head into his hands and muttered, "I'm never living this down."